We don't win by doing everything. We win by doing the right thing consistently. Distraction is expensive, but discipline pays.
Welcome to the Waste No Day podcast, a podcast specifically for and about the home services industry as it relates to plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and electrical. More than a podcast, Waste No Day is a credo, a determination, a mindset. It is a never-ending discipline. It is a refuse to lose pursuit. It is a wake-up call every morning to waste no day. Now here's your hosts, Brian Burton and Nate Minnick.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Waste No Day podcast. Your host, Nate and Brian, hanging out with you again. Looking forward to another great episode. This time, we're going to be focusing on core values. You might have some at your company. They might be plastered on a wall somewhere. They might be some words that every once in a while somebody mentions, but maybe they don't have a lot of meaning to them. Or perhaps you are in a company, organization, or you hold yourself to some words that have really deep and powerful meaning. Whatever they are or whatever your experience is, we're going to talk about our experience today and how core values can really shape and should shape you, your service, your team, your company, your client's experience, and far more. It's going to be a good conversation as Brian and I talk about our personal experiences, some of our core values, and we're looking forward to it today as we're going to just be the two of us. Before we get into the meat of that content, though, it's time for us to spend a little bit of time breaking it down in an introduction. And we're going to start it off with a quote from Brian.
Peter Drucker, largely considered the GOAT all time of leadership and management, said, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast."
Yeah, that is such a good quote. And it means so much because in my particular role, I am often drawn into strategic conversations or strategic planning or where are we going and what are we doing and all these types of things. It's very easy for me to lose sight of the culture because I just have a natural inclinancy to strategy. And so I can get lost in spreadsheets and lost in bullet points and slideshows and reporting and everything else, all the things that would drive Brian crazy.
And did.
Yeah, and it is such an important thing to balance, though, that strategy with culture. And in fact, culture really wins the day because if you don't have the culture, the strategy will be executed by subpar people who are only there for the money or only there for some other reason, but not really there for the true passion of the matter. And so culture has been a great learning process for me to make sure that I have that in the proper position on the importance graph in my own life, as well as the lives of the teams that I am helping with.
Here, here. It's a tough one because, like, without any strategy whatsoever of where we're going and what we're doing, I don't think a culture is going to get you there. But without culture, like you said, you can have all the strategy mapped out in the world and it's not going to get off the ground, right? How could it? So if Peter Drucker says culture beats strategy, then culture beats strategy because I don't think there's a
here. No argument.
There's a more respected name in writing and leadership and management than Peter Drucker. So what we're going to talk about today is how do you create a culture? And something Ken Goodrich said all the time when people would ask him about culture, and probably still says, although we haven't chatted with him in a while, is culture, like everything else, is a system. And how do you systemize culture? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. One way to do it is to start with what are the most important attributes to us as a team, as an organization, as a family, right? As our family unit, as a person, as a human being. So I don't have core values personally, but as I was working on this episode, I said, dude, let's make this about not just the teams. And I know your core values very well as I helped write them and certainly helped come up with that phenomenal acronym. And I know mine because I helped create them for our team here in Phoenix. So you create them around what are the most important things to us, characteristics or attributes that if we focus on these things, we will hit our goals. That's how we build a culture.
Yeah, Brian, and I'm looking forward to the conversation today. And it has a lot of different impacts, as you mentioned, not only at work, we can take this in another direction at home. Some of you are entrepreneurs, you're your own man, like you're your own boss. And so when you define core values, it's literally a definition of probably yourself. And so I'm looking forward to all the different variances that we can take around this topic. And it should be really good. Don't tune out if you're like, core values, that's a bunch of corporate jargon and whatever. That's not really what we're talking about.
Even though you're right. You're probably right.
It may be, there certainly is core values, and they certainly can be part of corporate jargon. But that's not the type of content that we're looking to drive today. And we want this to be impactful for you. And we hope to share that through some of the impacts that it has had on our own lives. Before we get to the meat of the show, though, it is always a privilege and a delight to hear from one of our listeners about how this show has impacted them. And we're looking forward to that in the form of a review. So, Brian, who are we spotlighting for this particular episode?
Great info and mindset changer. 5 stars. I listen whenever I can while I'm on the road. Every bit of info is practical, and it helps me understand both sides of the sales process. You guys are a great team. You've got a listener for life. Hardy Services. 11 months ago, I'd like to know if Hardy's still listening. He's like, for life, bro, forever. Like 2 months later, he like stumbles into the Joe Rogan podcast for the first time. He's like, I only got so many drive hours in the day. And this podcast is 3.5 hours long. So sorry, waste no day. Next life for sure. Got you.
Yeah, he's like, man, if you had just kept those introductions to like 11 minutes max, I would have stuck with you. But no, you had to keep going. Well, we appreciate it, Hardy. It was a Hardy Services. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hope that you're still listening.
Yeah, appreciate that. Hey, we've said this. It seems like whenever I say this, we get inundated with reviews like this, and then about 3 weeks goes by and they stop. But if you're going to throw a review out, Hardy Services, perfect example. Feel free to, at the end of the review, not in your name and definitely not in the title, because they cut the title off. In your review, feel free to say who you are, where exactly you are, shout your team out, shout your homie out, whatever. We've said this before, but daughter's birthday. Don't care. Like whatever you want to throw in there that's something fun, something cool, memorable, or just hypes your team a little bit, throw it in. We'll read it. It's going to get weird.
Yeah. Also let us know whether you use a CPAP or not, because that's a thing that we care about very much on this show.
Yes.
Brian.
One of us. Not only can I see my CPAP from this studio, AKA corner of my bedroom, but over like 12 feet the other way, I can see my mini CPAP, which was one of my Christmas presents from my wife. I have the Travel Mini now. This thing is freaking awesome. Shout out to, I assume, Dr. J. I didn't ask, but you have to have a prescription for a CPAP. So I'm guessing Millie got help from Dr. J with that, our boy. So appreciate that, Doc.
Is that a gift for you or a gift for her, Brian?
That's for me, because I'm like unpacking and unraveling my CPAP every trip. 2 times I forgot the bucket, the water bucket. And you just be a train wreck if you use the CPAP without the humidifying bucket. So I had one time, I think both times I ordered from the quickest place I could get it a new freaking bucket. It's just a nightmare. Well, this thing's tiny, right? It comes in this tiny little gray bag.
I so regret this now.
It doesn't count as carry-on because it's a medical necessity thing, which is awesome. Yeah, but yeah. And you can use it on the plane, this little thing. Yeah. All right. If you're like me, severely overweight, about 15 pounds from being cut, for crying out loud, because of these holidays that you let be a month long, 2 months long now, and you snore, CPAP's the way to go. Lifesaver, life changer, lifesaver. All right. You brought it up.
Thank you, Brian.
A reminder.
I did, and I immediately regretted it. So thank you, Hardy Services and CPAP Technologies, for sponsoring this show. We do appreciate it. Moving on.
Hold on. Scale it back on whether they're sponsoring. We would like them to, for sure, because that little mini thing was not cheap. And neither are the hoses and the tubes and the mouthpieces.
Why would they sponsor us at this point? They've gotten all the free publicity that they could ever ask for.
Yeah.
There's nothing more to gain.
They've literally sold 9 systems in the years I've been hyping this thing. Because every now and then at a convention or on social media, somebody says, bro, I went and got a sleep study done because of you. Got the CPAP, changed my life in ways that you didn't even describe. Like, I can't believe how much better life is since I got a CPAP. And I'm telling you, I can't believe how much better life is since I got a CPAP. I'm a 6-hour guy now. I sleep for 6 hours. And much of the time I wake up before my alarm, 3:45, feeling refreshed and head right to the gym. Like, let's go. And I could sleep for 9 hours before and not feel like I got a good night's sleep.
I'm about to sleep for 9 hours now, Brian. So moving on to the topic at hand here, which is core values. And we're looking forward to it today. So it's just going to be the two of us. We're jumping into it here. And I want to set the stage here with exactly what we're talking about, which is core values, right? So
if somebody makes their core values out of the acronym CPAP, we will read it on the show. Just find me on social and send it to me.
Okay. Yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, we're not talking about words that are just plastered up on a wall or somebody, held on a poster in somebody's dusty corner of the office or something like that. Core values are meant to be the embodiment of the individuals or the aggregate of the individuals in your company. And so just kind of set the stage on an easy way of looking at what a core value is it should be your guiding light in terms of who you are hiring or bringing into your organization. It should also be your guiding light in terms of who you are promoting or elevating through your organization. And I think those are really simple ways of understanding what core values are designed to do, because they are really people-oriented by nature. A company can't embody core values because it's a company. It's just, it's a building, it's a spreadsheet, it's whatever. It's the people within the company that can embody the core values. Ergo, the company can then have people who have core values and execute on them. But it's really a people function by nature. And so when you're thinking about it from that perspective, yes, you might have core values that sound business oriented, like, we're finishers, or, we're excellence, or those types of things. But it's really a human component that you need to be focused on. So Brian and I are both going to dialogue about what our company core values are, and I'm sure we'll continue from there. But one of the fundamental ones that we use at my organization in Lancaster and Toms River is professionalism. And okay, so that's the most generic word. And to some degree, I hate that because it's so generic and it means 1,000 things to 1,000 different people. But here's where core values really step in. It can't just be a word. It has to be a word with a definition. It has to be a word with meaning. It can't just be a skeleton. It has to have flesh and tendons and muscles. It has to have something that actually executes on it. Otherwise, it just becomes letters on a wall. All right. So when I say professionalism, what do I mean? I mean that at my organization, we want people who embody the definition of professionalism as we define it, and then here, ... and here's how we define it. Professionalism is people who see things through to the conclusion, who start at A and get to Z, and they don't give up in between, and they don't get distracted, and they don't forget, and they don't fumble it up, and they don't give up, and they don't turn it over to somebody else and say, hey, you deal with this. They see it through to the end. And I believe in that as a core value because we need to see that in every area of our organization, from the call takers who promise, oh yeah, I'll give you a call back, or oh yeah, I'll leave it in the notes to make sure the technician knows, right? Is it in the notes so the technician knows? All the way down to the billing and warranty team who, if they forget to complete the warranty registration, it can impact the homeowner. And everybody in between, and especially you in listening, who is most likely a technician or frontline person. How critical is it for you to see things through to the end? Not only because, of course, you run across those problems that are just those persistent nagging things that keep coming back up, like this is the third time that we've been out to Brian's house and we need to put this thing to bed, right? Like a professional would, but for reasons of like follow up and follow through. Hey, I'll give you a call. Hey, let's set up a revisit. Hey, I'll make sure that part gets ordered. Hey, I'll make sure that explaining every step of the process along the way. This is what professionalism means at my organization. Might have a different definition, and that's perfectly okay at yours. But for our core value of professionalism, it means seeing things through to the end, to their conclusion, and taking care of business. It's a simple way of putting it.
Here, here. I'll interject one of mine now, right? So we started with yours, the P in your acronym. I'll start with the first of ours here, which the beginning of the acronym is E, and E stands for empathy. And we met on these this morning. We'll start one of the very first meetings every year with core value. I don't want to say training because there's not much to train on in these, right? We all know what this stuff means, but just a refocus every year on what we're doing and what our model is, right? Empathy is first for a reason. Empathy isn't being soft. It's understanding before being understood, which is a core principle of most people doing business the right way. It's like Dr. Stephen Covey said, seek to understand before you seek to be understood, right? Customers don't call us on their best day. Teammates don't typically call us, see us on their best day. If it's something where they're irritating us, chances are it's because they're irritated. Like, it's okay to be upset because you're mistreated. But in a team function or when dealing with the people we serve who pay our bills, right? Let's take the mindset, just getting less and less these days with all the politics in the air and everything. But in this situation, it benefits us and everyone else if we take the viewpoint of the other person first, right? So get upset, whatever. Don't act out. Just keep it to yourself. Don't punch the steering wheel because I think, it'll set the airbag off, but like punch your seat or whatever. Just chill out. And when you go to have the conversation about it, which you should do because healthy confrontation is, as we talked about several weeks ago, is mandatory for a good team and for trust. Go have the conversation. But start by trying to see things from the other party's viewpoint first, right? So same with dispatchers, the CSRs, your management team, your direct supervisor, the owner, whomever. So listen first, care first, try to see it from their situation first, and then get your viewpoint out and say what you need to say to resolve the situation. And then resolve the situation, right? So that's our version of empathy, but we also have the Webster's Dictionary definition of each of the four of these. Empathy, the action of understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experiences of another. I like ours better.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, I like that, Brian. And as you well know, empathy is actually the second core value for our team as well. And kind of echoing what you're saying there, the reason that we care about empathy as a core value is because we are in the home services business. Like, we have to be empathetic. And when I say have to, it's not you don't literally have to be, right? But if we are not, we become callous. We become just another service, just another provider of things. And in many ways, you may consider yourself, I think we do, we consider ourselves akin to the medical professional field, where we might not be taking care of the medical body, but we're taking care of the body of the house. And in many ways, I'm not trying to draw like a straight up parallel here, because, trying to tell somebody bad news in a medical setting could be drastically different than in a home situation, but we are still often required to tell somebody bad news. It might not be that they have cancer, but it might be that, hey, there's leak, there's rust, there's problems, there's things that need corrected, and these things are going to cost money. Right. So I'm not at all trying to say that we're delivering life-altering news, but we are delivering news that is usually uncomfortable and usually painful to some extent to the client. And so if you do not conduct yourself with empathy, how can you deliver that news in a meaningful way that is not going to come across as callous or cold What is your bedside manner in the home? What is your table side manner in the home? This is why we want to see empathy in our technicians, but not only in the technicians, in the CSRs, because they're the front line. They're the first person that they're going to speak to when a homeowner calls in distress, and they need to have empathy in their voice, right? I don't know if you're watching this podcast, but you're listening to it for sure. And in the voice of a CSR, you can experience empathy, even if you can't see the facial expressions and the body language and the eyes and the sadness and those types of things. You can still feel it in the voice, which is so critical, all the way down through for everybody who's supporting our organization. Because at the end of the day, we are an organization of humans, and humans need empathy to really relate to one another. And what a great cultural building block is it if people empathize with one another, and how much farther can you go if that's what you build upon?
Yeah. So we're 2 down for you. Number 2 for Phoenix is going to be focus. Sorry, leadership. Skip right
Killing
to number
it, bro.
3. Number 2, leadership.
Yeah, you were focused.
So here's let me get focused here. That's my biggest struggle, is that focus for sure. Leadership is not a title. It's a behavior. It's doing the right thing when it would be easier not to. It's owning mistakes quickly and not blaming or making excuses. It's fixing. It's getting better. Every single one of us leads someone, a client, a coworker, techs, apprentices, shop techs, whatever it is, homeowners, ourselves, right? Even a new hire who's just watching how you behave, how you show up, and how you talk about your teammates, the leadership, the support staff, or the client. We're all leaders, right? And then Webster has a very subpar definition compared to ours, which is the capacity or ability to lead, the act of guiding or directing a group or one's self. I like that part the most. And we went round and round in that in our team talk about the act of leading oneself. I like also that Webster's used the word to define itself. Leadership, the capacity or ability to lead. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for nothing.
That's a great one, Brian. And I always a big fan of leadership training, leadership development. And yet what every great leader really should possess is our third one at Lancaster. And this one is much in thanks to you, Brian, for bringing this in, as we originally started off with 3. In fact, I think we ran with 3 for maybe a year or 2. And then we're like, we really need to add a 4th one. We believed in it so much. And you, of course, had done a great job at sewing that into the culture. And that's our third core value, which is gratitude. And we've done entire episodes on this show about it. And it continues to be the difference maker. And the reason that we want that as a core value is, once again, because we are dealing with homeowners. And like, how much different of an experience is it when you come across somebody that you can clearly tell loves their job, loves to be alive, loves what they're doing, loves working with people, all these types of things, and they exhibit it in gratitude. We've talked about the difference of getting served by a waiter who is just there for the paycheck, or getting served by a waiter who is, overly bubbly and thankful that you've come in, right? It's a different experience. And it's not just your experience with the homeowner or their experience with you. It's also your experience with your coworkers. How much better is the workplace if people are actually thankful to be there? How much better is your conversation around the dumpster or the water cooler or in the training room after the session's over, if you're talking about things that are positive and uplifting in your life or what you did this weekend? In fact, we start off most of our meetings, like our internal meetings or team meetings and those types of things, with something called a segue, which is an EOS concept, which is basically like, tell us one thing that you're thankful for, or one professional high, or one business high, or one thing that's great, or some nature of that to remind us that this is real.
Yeah, it's a professional great and the personal great. Share one of each. But for me, and I even changed it to this when we would have our L10s with our techs, it was one thing you're grateful for, right? So one, because to me, let's start the meeting with some gratitude. So one personal life thing you're grateful for. one work-life thing you're grateful for. And let's start with that. Yeah. But the real reason I got gratitude shoehorned in there was for the acronym. For your acronym.
We'll get to that, Brian.
What's
your next one, buddy?
Yeah. Number 3. So we had empathy, leadership, focus. Spoiler alert. We already spoiled it. Focus. So focus, our definition or the way we describe it. Yes, we work hard. We don't win by doing everything. We win by doing the right thing consistently. The one thing that matters most at that time. And focus means phones down. Everybody snickered when I said this one because I'm the worst at it. Yes, still. I know you're surprised. Phone down, eyes up, one call, one client, one task at a time. Distraction is expensive, but discipline pays.
That's good.
And then we slide down to the very lackluster Webster definition of this: a center of activity, attraction, or attention. The ability to concentrate attention or effort, or both. I like that part. That second sentence on there was beast mode. The ability to concentrate your attention and effort onto one singular task or purpose, right? Phenomenal. The first quote I ever wrote down in my original kindergarten composite notebook in 2004 when I got to the Ken Goodrich company where I met my mentor and so many longtime friends like Brent Buckley. And I opened a notebook for the first time and wrote a quote in it, and it became my quote book. I X'd out notebook and put quote book. Was Bruce Lee. He said, the only difference between a human and a superhuman is laser focus. And I heard Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, talking about Steve Jobs. He worked for Steve Jobs for a little while. And he said the biggest difference between him and everyone else he's worked with is Steve Jobs was able to cancel out white noise and focus solely on the one thing he considered the most important thing to get done at that time, more than anyone else he'd ever seen. What's Apple's market cap these days?
It's over $1 trillion.
Trillion dollars. Yeah. Not billion. Did we ever do the seconds, millions versus billions thing on here?
I don't think so, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah, is it? Why don't you go for your fourth one and I'll look that up because I actually have it in my notepad here.
You do that. Stay focused, Brian. I trust in you. All right. So number 4 for us is drive.
I'm getting off track here.
All right. So what does drive mean? Drive is the ability to be autonomously moving forward without having to have a slave driver or a whip behind you. Why is that important? Our company is not a micromanaging company. We don't want to be. I don't want to have to be cracking the whip to get things done. I want to dream. I want to scheme. I want to plan and strategize. And then I want to say, let's go get it. Everybody do their thing. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. Go team, break, right? And then it gets done. I don't want to have to do check-ins and like progress reports and TPS reports and all this stuff. I don't want to have to do that. I mean, there's still merit to progress and check-ins and all that stuff. Yes, from like, are we on track? Are we getting it done? But I don't want to have to do it to actually see success. How tiring is it to constantly be chasing after people to make sure they do what they have to do or need to do or what they said they were going to do, right? And so we look for drive within individuals, not only from a sales component, which is obvious, right? Like, you know, somebody who's choosing to set their own goals or set their own income levels and those types of things, but all the way down through our organization, from our CSRs who sell memberships of the phone to the technicians in the field to our admin teams to our dispatchers and everybody else. And we have incentive plans at almost every single level that I can think of because we want people who are driven and who are going to see that carrot and they're going to go get the carrot and they don't need the stick. They don't need the stick. They love the carrot. They want the carrot and they're driven to go get it. And that's why we have drive as the conclusion of our core values.
Yeah, love that one. I slid G in there. so that their acronym for their core values could be, go on, Nate, pegged, baby.
Yeah, that we would have you
Yes.
pegged. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we would bring people in the conference room. One of the first thing I said, I point up at the beautiful core values board that the Authority Brands marketing team helped me build. And it's just like a dude there in uniform. And it's like Pete, a professional, empathetic, grateful, driven. And I said, if you want to be a punctual pro, one of us, you got to be pegged. And I'd point up at the poster. And I would see what level of one of our fourth core value on our team is fun. And I would see whether this person got the joke and had a sense of humor or not, right? Because somebody got too excited. We're like, it's not for us, right? But people would see it and go, what? I go, yeah, you got to get pegged, man. You got to be pegged. And they would crack a smile and go, man, get out of here. Like, yeah, all right, good. If you laugh and you get a joke out of it, it's a step in the right direction, right? Plus, I got to hear Nate say he was going to peg people all the time, which was even more fun.
You did not hear me say that. It's a complete lie.
All right, before we dig into our last one, Steve Jobs started and built a company that now has a $3 trillion market cap. Like Bruce Lee said, the difference between a human and superhuman is laser focus. Kevin O'Leary said, in terms of that laser focus, he's never seen anybody like the guy he worked with for a while, Steve Jobs, with laser focus. The company he built now has a market cap of $3 trillion. I heard this done in millions and billions, never trillions. So we're going to do the trillions math. The difference between a millionaire, a billionaire, and a trillionaire. 1 million seconds is about 11.6 days, right? So last week plus a long weekend. 1 billion seconds is 31.7 years.
It's crazy.
As in, if you started counting in the early 90s, you'd just now be finishing. 1 trillion seconds is 31,700 years. Like, we're talking cave paintings, right? Woolly mammoths. Humans still figuring out fire, for crying out loud. So the jump from million to billion isn't bigger. It's a completely different universe. And the company Steve Jobs built is in the trillions in market cap. So yeah, pretty phenomenal. What can be accomplished by absolute laser focus, right? So that was the Phoenix team's third core value. The fourth core value is fun. So our core value acronym is ELF, E-L-F-F. Empathy, leadership, focus, fun. Now, we didn't build that in Lancaster. And I think specifically it found its way in for the reason that I kind of always wished we had more fun, right? I mean, at our level, like Nate and my level in the leadership position, we had plenty of fun. But I would say maybe didn't take it to the technician level as much as we maybe not should have, but could have for sure. Despite Nate's amazing games that he sets up for like Black Friday and Christmas Eve. You still do that? Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy and all that stuff?
HR does that for us now. They do a great job.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I love that. So anyway, fun by our definition. Yes, we work hard. But if the place isn't fun, people burn out. Fun doesn't mean unprofessional, right? It means we laugh, we enjoy each other, we celebrate and enjoy wins, we bust each other's chops for a lack of performance, but in the right way. Like if you come in late, you're going to hear about it. If you look like crap, you're going to hear about it. But if we can't enjoy the grind in the trades and in customer service will eat us alive, right? It does not take prisoners. So fun not only needed to be there, but from our perspective, it needed to be the last one as well. It needed to kind of finish out our core values. So it's just after Christmas. We should have done this one a month ago, but we're going to get some Buddy the Elf posters or something, some version of Buddy the Elf, because I love that movie. I can't believe that they came up with another like classic Christmas movie. It's about time for another one because that movie's like 20 years old. But yeah, that's why we made it in the Elf. And then the Webster's definition. This is the worst. What provides amusement or enjoyment? Playful pleasure, fun. All right, thanks again for nothing.
Somehow they made that definition as little fun as possible.
Yeah, they did. It's almost ironic, the definition. So the reason this episode meeting and everything came to be is I was at the gym in one of my 4:30 sessions talking to a gym bro who goes to the gym. I can't remember what the name of his company is. Now I feel bad about it, but I told him he's got to listen to this episode because I'm going to do an episode about it, and I'm going to shout him out in the episode. His name's Zach Teagarden. And he was telling me about their core values on his team, and it's gas leadership. Give a, snot because we don't swear on this show. Leadership. And he just kind of went into what that means to him and what that means to his team. And it's all about, really kind of encompasses all of our core values. Just like, give a crap about what you're doing, about who you're speaking to, about the client, about your teammate, about leadership, about the company as a whole, about the future, the reputation of the team, like all these things combined. Give a crap, like do your best, right? I like that. For me, core values, I hate when each core value is like 7 words. Don't bring that to me. I'm out. I got to be able to remember it top of my head, make it something fun like pegged. I don't know why you guys went with that, Nate. Doesn't make sense to me. Or elf in our case, and something where we can put things up and it means something to somebody. And then, according to the EOS model, right, we hire, fire, discipline, and reward based on performance inside the structure of our core values. Right? So fun, literally under fun, we have written no Eeyores. If you're a grump, a cranky, there's never a reason to have a good time. Everything is a reason that the world's caving in on you. You're not a fit. You're not. Now, here's the good news about any one of these. You can fix any one of these. The same with Nate's core values, right? You can become professional. You can work on your empathy. You can act more grateful until you become more grateful. And drive's a tough one. That can be a tough one. But I do think you can figure out what you're driven for and then apply that to what you do for your team, right? Like, guy doesn't care about money at all, right? He's got a nest egg his parents left him, but they require him to be at work to get that nest egg. Not money motivated. And there are people who aren't money motivated who don't have money, right? It's just not on their short list. All right, but maybe being part of a cool team motivates you. All right, well, you have to abide by certain standards to be on that team. So there you go. Use that. Before we wrap, I want to wrote what ChatGPT helped me create as our little saying for our ELF core values. Empathy sets the tone. Leadership sets the bar. Focus gets our results. And fun is what keeps us here.
That's good.
My ChatGPT's beast. So let me know if you want me to help you out with that pegged, bro.
Thanks, Brian.
I could tell it to make it rhyme.
Oh, that'd be good. So back to what Brian is saying, like, these are good things, and whatever your core values are, and you know what, you may feel like, what's the relevance of this episode to me? How does this really fit in? Well, a couple of things. So one, I mentioned at the beginning that we utilize these in our hiring. And so it's very important that we continue to fill our team with these core values, because that is what we believe in and what we believe will serve the team, the clients, and the overall mission best. And so you may not necessarily have influence. Maybe you don't sit on a leadership team. Maybe you don't even know what your team core values are, but they can still play an impact if you want them to. And even if you're an organization that either doesn't have them or, doesn't really make a big emphasis towards them, then I ask you, what is your personal core values? And this is actually, I don't do too many interviews anymore, but this is a question that I would like to ask an interview applicant, ideally before I would ever go over what our company core values were, to see what they would come up with on the spot. And sometimes they would come up with the cheesy ones. Well, like, honesty or something like that, which I'm not saying honesty is cheesy, but, it's kind of in line with professionalism if you don't really provide context behind it. But sometimes they would come up with like really creative ones. And I thought asking that question provided an insight into what this person cares about, like what makes them who they are. And so I would ask that same question to you. And you can answer that as holistically or specifically as you want. If you want to say, well, my core values when I'm in my van driving to a call are this, this, and this. Or my core values when I go home and I'm with my family are this, this, and that. Or maybe you want to just broadly define them. And so if I could be a little vulnerable for you, I had a pretty tough day back in December. Was feeling sort of depressed about some things with my kids and how they were trending out. So I really sat down and thought about what are my core values as how I define fatherhood. And I thought I would share them with you. So the core values that I believe I exhibit in my fathering would be fatherhood through sacrifice, through provision, instruction, generosity, stability, and commitment. And those are the things that I define. This is what I think being a good father means. And this is how I conduct myself typically to execute on that vision. But along with identifying those things, which I think are fine, that's a fine list of things to, demonstrate as a father. I know I am weak in the area of felt love and heart connection. That's just not a strength. And it's not because my father didn't show those things to me. In fact, he was a great father. It's just not been my personality. And so I have to go above and beyond to find felt love / heart connection with my kids. So I have to be intentional about it. In fact, I set it as a goal for myself this year to really connect with my kids' hearts. And so I want to encourage you listening that even if you don't take this episode from a business aspect and you're okay, whatever, that's fine. Please define your core values, your personal core values, whether it's within the realm of fatherhood or whether you want to do it more broadly as the leader of your home or more broadly as just a human, just like a person. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. Because I think there's value in knowing those things, not only from an aspect of spending time defining what really matters to you, but then knowing what your guiding light is and knowing where your weaknesses are. I know where my weaknesses are in my fathering, and I know that I need to do better in those areas. And ideally, at some point, I will be able to say, I have a core value of heart connection with my kids. I'm not at that place right now. I'm not at a place where I feel confident that that is a strength of mine, but it is a belief that I want to get to, and it's something that I'm pursuing. So there's my drive for 2026 and beyond to find enough heart connection in my relationship that I can actually add it as a lived by core value in my fathering.
Nailed it, buddy. I'm going to give you a rhyming wrap up to the ELF core values.
Let's do it.
Empathy sets the tone. Leadership sets the bar. Focus drives results. Fun keeps us who we are. That was from Jarvis, not from me.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah. Well, and I'll add to what Nate said. If you're with an organization, you don't have core values, or you used ChatGPT to create core values and nobody cares about them or believes in them, get with the team and come up with the core values as a crew. So find out what's important to everybody. Say, look, we need 3 to 5. I think more than 5 is a little excessive. What are the most important characteristics if a person walked through the door right now and we were going to add them to the team and they're going to work directly with you personally? What are some characteristics, right? So I'm going to turn around to the whiteboard and I'm going to start writing and just shout them out, right? And just get to shouting them out. And then do a keep, kill, or combine session, right? let's say we end up with 20 characteristics, and we're going to go through each one individually. Do we keep it? Do we kill it? Or do we combine it with another one because it's pretty close? And let's just narrow this list down to 3, 4, or 5, right? And then that's where you can use ChatGPT to say, hey, help me come up with these 5 words in an acronym. And it'll give you different variations of the words, right? Like we had fun, and maybe it would, if we needed a J for our acronym, and it would come up with joy. And it'll do that for you literally within a second. Like, it's not a problem. So yeah, look forward to some feedback from that exercise. Do your whiteboard experience with some members of the team, come up with the list, do your keep, kill, combine, throw them in ChatGPT, come up with an acronym. If you don't like the acronym or it's not fun, then come up with a different one. It doesn't have to be fun, or impactful, but don't go super high freaking engineer, right? Owners, I don't want to say sit this one out, but don't take over in the, because I believe this is impactful for me, so it'll be impactful for everyone. Everyone's just going to respect what you have to say because you're the boss. So keep that in mind and maybe sit this exercise out, or just to give input, but don't take it over and make it yours, because that's whose it will be at the end. Now, the core values have to be super important to the person who's at the top of the org chart for sure, but you don't have to own this completely. This is something to delegate and make the team part of, right? You concur, Nate?
Absolutely. And that seems like a great place to wrap things up, Brian, as we had a good episode today. And I hope that was impactful for you. We would love to hear what your company core values are, whether you sit on the leadership team or not. We'd love to hear what those are. We'd love to hear what your personal core values are, or both. We'd love to hear any of those variations, because core values have a great way of defining the people who embody them. And that's in the organization, out of the organization, at your home, and wherever in between. So we hope this was impactful. If you don't have any core values, like Brian was saying, we encourage you to either spend time with your leadership team, or even like if it's just, if you're on the front line, it's just like you and some buddies, like, hey, what are we about? Great. Do a team session, rally behind that. Or maybe it's you and your spouse, and you can go home and you can have that conversation and say, like, what is our family about? Like, what are the Minnecks? What are the Burtons about? Like, what are we going to be, and what are we going to raise our kids, and what are we going to value? I think that's a great exercise and a great way to really kick off a year. So we'd love to hear from you. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you could find somebody that would enjoy it as much as you did, we'd appreciate if you would share it with them. We do think that values the show and gives us a little bit of kick in the ratings, as the more people that listen, the more Apple cares about us, and we care about you, even if Apple is $1 trillion organization and doesn't care about us. So
3 trillion now. Does not care, not at all, about us.
3 trillion times, at all. We're going to leave you with our weekly challenge, which continues to be the same: to choose to wake up each and every morning and waste no day.